Hey everyone, welcome to Glen's WWE Thoughts. As you can see behind me, stuff's starting to get cleaned up a little bit. This room might finally actually come together. It might actually happen this year. Woo! For anyone who doesn't know, basically a couple of years ago we renovated the whole main floor. This is down in the basement. And everything got moved down in the basement so that more stuff could get moved down into the basement, so that even more stuff could get moved into the basement, so that the floor upstairs could be done. This whole basement was supposed to be Dad's area. Dad's man cave, whatever you want to call it. And that went right out the window when we started to renovate and so forth, and has been like this now for about 2 years, and it's getting kind of frustrating because I've been cramped to half the room. Actually, probably less than half the room. But anyways, my wife and my mother-in-law are finally going through all this stuff. Yay! And they're getting it all cleaned up and organized and so forth. And then I got to clean up my own mess, which is a bit of a mess, as you've probably seen in a few pictures that I have posted in the past. You can see all the LEGO Dimension stuff I still have to go through, which I'm thinking about doing a video for. Maybe. We'll see. And you've seen all the pop figures that we have and so forth, which are just basically stacked in one giant corner right now. It's kind of hilarious. Anyways, WWE thoughts. I mentioned in the last one, the WWE title picture pissing me off. I'm not going to lie. Okay, so Randy Orton. We all knew this is where this angle was going. We knew that Randy Orton was only joining the Wyatt family to get into the Wyatt family to destroy it from within. We all knew that that's what the plan was. I knew it. You knew it. Everyone saw this coming. So when the WWE decided to put the title on Bray Wyatt and decided to have Randy Orton win the Royal Rumble, it almost started to make a lot of sense. It was like, oh my god, this is going to be great. You're going to have Randy Orton come out and he's going to attack Bray Wyatt and they'll feud on until WrestleMania. Good job. And, the dissension between Luke Harper and Bray Wyatt and all that, it sounded like it was going to be fantastic. I think the WWE has crapped all over this whole storyline and made it make even less sense than it did before. So, because here's the problem, and it really, if the WWE title was not involved, if it wasn't the fact that Randy Orton had won the Royal Rumble or anything like that, everything else about it probably would still make sense. But because you involved the WWE title, and because you involved the Royal Rumble and so forth, now it doesn't make sense. The winner of the Royal Rumble always gets, well, the WWE claims always gets the main event spot. And always faces for the WWE title. Because apparently if a Raw guy had won, apparently he wasn't going to challenge for the Universal title. Whatever. Anyways, point is, that's, bottom line is Randy Orton won. It was set in stone. He was going to face the WWE champion at WrestleMania, who at the time, of course, was John Cena. John Cena, of course, loses the title to Bray Wyatt in the Elimination Chamber. That is when it should have been executed, the turn. Randy Orton should have come out. No, actually, sorry, I said this before. When Bray Wyatt won, Luke Harper should have come out, because at this point Luke Harper had already left the family. He should have attacked Bray Wyatt. Randy Orton runs out to make the save, and just when everybody thinks everything's peachy keen, RKO out of nowhere, RKO's Bray Wyatt in the middle of the ring at Elimination Chamber. That's how the show should have ended. And then you have your feud from there. But no. We get convoluted number one contendership after number one contendership. So first Randy Orton says, I will not face Bray Wyatt. Now, by WWE tradition that has been established, because keep in mind, Daniel Bryan said this past week on SmackDown, we've never had a situation like this before. Wrong. Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon, I believe it was 1999 if I remember correctly, Vince McMahon won the Royal Rumble. He refused to face The Rock at WrestleMania. It was 1999. It was WrestleMania 15. He refused to face The Rock. The Rock, and so he forfeited his title shot at WrestleMania. And according to Shawn Michaels, who was the commissioner on TV at the time, according to the WWE rulebook, because Vince McMahon gave up his title shot, the runner-up to the Royal Rumble gets the title shot, which was Stone Cold Steve Austin. So, right off the bat, as soon as Randy Orton forfeited his Royal Rumble match title shot, whoever the runner-up was, which is totally escaping me at the moment, but I think it was Roman Reigns, should have gotten the main event spot. And honestly, that would have made more sense at this point, honestly. Because the whole crap with the Universal title is pissing me off now, too. Anyways, point is. But, okay, fine, whatever. SmackDown has to still have, either way, regardless of how that would have went down, SmackDown would still have to have a quote-unquote number one contenders match. So they had a battle royal, and that was fine at this point. The problem is that they, of course, tried to do the double finish, but even from the angle that they did end up using, even though there were better angles, we know there was because they showed them before, the angle they kept showing over and over again, where it was taken from the far shot screen and so forth, you can clearly see AJ going down and hitting the floor while Luke Harper's still laying on the ring apron. Luke Harper becoming the number one contender with the Wyatt family feud revolving around the WWE title and Randy Orton inevitably eventually going to be turning on Bray Wyatt, making Bray Wyatt the number one contender would have made more sense. Because it just would have made more sense. I mean, I can't make that any clearer. But that's fine. So, they have their match, AJ versus, and AJ wins. Which again, doesn't make sense as I just mentioned, but it is what it is. But then that same night after the event, Randy Orton burns down the Wyatt compound and the grave of Sister Abigail. And I don't know why I'm doing this so much, but anyways, he burns that down and says that he's gonna face Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. Well, you forfeited your thing. So the fact that, again, bottom line is Daniel Bryan was wrong. Not only about the fact that it's never happened before, but the fact that, again, Randy Orton forfeited his thing. He doesn't get to just get it back. If I go to my boss tomorrow at work and I say, I refuse to work, I quit, I don't get to go back a few weeks later and say, yeah, I changed my mind and just get my job back. Now, out of the gracious of his heart, he might give me my job back. But if he's already filled the position, most likely he ain't going to do it, right? Same thing. You had already filled the position. So yes, out of your goodness of your heart, you might have said, okay, Randy, you can have your title shot back, but you already filled the position with AJ Styles. AJ should be the one going on to WrestleMania now, based on logical booking. But of course, we know it's wrestling, so there is no logical booking, and that's what frustrates wrestling fans. It's, you tell us to suspend our beliefs, and we can suspend our beliefs, but this still takes place in the real world. So you just need to have some logic to it. And not to have logic to it just makes no sense. So anyways, it is what it is. Now Randy Orton and AJ had their match. Randy Orton won, so it is Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania, which it should have been all along. And AJ Styles is now setting up a match, apparently, against Shane McMahon. And, I'm glad that the WWE title match is set back to what it should have been in the first place. I think if this was... doing all this just to set up a Shane McMahon versus AJ Styles match... There's better ways to do it. You could have done the whole thing. AJ Styles never got his one-on-one rematch for the WWE title, and he blamed Shane McMahon. There's all sorts of different things you could have done. All sorts of different things you could have done. Not this convoluted mess. So yeah, and here's okay. Don't get me wrong, Shane McMahon can work. He can. No one's denying that. But he's not a wrestler. And I'm pretty sure the SmackDown era was supposed to, this new era was supposed to be where it's not about the management. And I just did the quotation things again. You just couldn't see it on camera very well. It was supposed to be not about the management. And yet Shane McMahon's going to get a WrestleMania spot. Who's not going to get a WrestleMania spot? Do you know why the WWE creates things like the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal and why they used to do the Money in the Bank the Money in the Bank ladder matches at WrestleMania? To get more people on the card. It's the same reason why they try to cram all the divas in one match, hence why they're probably doing it again on SmackDown. They're doing these things because they want to get as many people on the show as possible because they know it's a big deal. And it is a big deal. And now Shane McMahon is taking a spot away from somebody. And yeah, like you might be saying, oh well, not really, because he's taking Dean Ambrose's place, who's going to face Baron Corbin now instead. Yeah, but Baron Corbin could have faced somebody else who's now going to be in another match, and so on and so on. So the guy who's lowest on the totem pole in the SmackDown roster, who might have gotten a match had Shane McMahon not been involved, is not going to have a match anymore. And I hate when they do that. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that there hasn't been great moments. But this Shane McMahon AJ Styles thing, to me, that lacks creativity. I mean, to create a story feud that results in this, again, it's clear that the WWE is laying the groundwork for a potential feud between Daniel Bryan and The Miz, where if in about a year, because even Daniel Bryan said it on the Talking Smack this past week, let's see what the doctors have to say in a year and a half. So supposedly, I guess in a year and a half after he's been out of the ring and blah 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 blah, maybe he finally gets clearance to get back into the ring and wrestle again, right? Sounds like that's the idea, even if it's just for one match. And so I think that's what they're doing, is they're setting down the groundwork, not for this year, but maybe for next year's WrestleMania, Daniel Bryan versus The Miz, so Daniel Bryan can have that one last match that he never really got. Let's be honest, his career did not end on his terms. So I'm okay with that, because Daniel Bryan is actually a wrestler. He is given the management role because he has value to the company. And that's not to say Shane McMahon doesn't have value. Shane McMahon has lots of value to the company. Shane McMahon shouldn't be in a match. Shane McMahon is not a wrestler. Don't get me wrong. He learned the craft very well. He does it very well for not a wrestler. But that's not his job. His job is, well, actually, let's be honest, he probably doesn't actually have a proper official role within the WWE. He's probably just on-air talent now, kind of like what Eric Bischoff was when Eric Bischoff came back as the Raw general manager. Eric Bischoff was just a paid performer. That's all Shane McMahon probably is now too. I don't know if he has actual controlling interest in the WWE anymore or anything like that. We know he got rid of all that when he left the company years ago. I doubt he got any of that back coming back. I don't know. Who knows? Doesn't matter. Point is, he is an on-air performer to perform a role of a manager. I'm not saying he can't get involved physically with stuff. But let's be honest, Shane McMahon has been inserting himself into stuff ever since. The last year's WrestleMania match with Undertaker made sense for the storyline. Shane McMahon replacing Baron Corbin on the Survivor Series team, that's ego. Shane McMahon putting himself in a match again at WrestleMania against AJ Styles, or getting himself into a match with AJ Styles, that's McMahon ego again. It's not needed in this case. There's a place and time for it. This is not one of them. I've gone completely off topic. The topic was the WWE title picture and how it got to that mess. But you can see how it has a rippling effect on everything else. And this is what frustrates me. It's what frustrates most wrestling fans. It is what it is. Maybe you don't agree with me. Maybe you thought this was all fantastic and how it was done was great. I don't agree with you. but that's okay. That's it. I'm done ranting about that. I've got other things to rant about, as you can probably tell. I've kind of gone off on tangents before. There's always stuff that's kind of annoying me and so forth, and there's a lot of stuff that's doing good and so forth. So, I hate dwelling on the negative right now, but this one's just really bugging me right now, so I had to talk about it. So, oop. As the laptop almost closes on me. Anyways, that's it. I don't have anything else to say, as I mentioned, so if you want to share your thoughts about the angle, go ahead. There's comment section. If tell me I'm wrong. I don't care. Anyways, that's it for this one. We'll see you next time.